Hi all, welcome to the channel. I'm sat in a 2015 Volkswagen Passat B8. It's a 2-liter TDi model, and today I'm going to be changing the oil pressure switch or oil pressure sensor. And I'm just sitting inside just to discuss what the error is actually. So in my case, or in this car's case, once you're driving on and you hit around, sometimes it comes on at 2700 RPM or 3000 something, 3700. So around that, and especially when you leave off the accelerator, so the error comes on and your engine kind of management light kind of comes on with the 3 curls you would be familiar with. And what happens is the car goes into limp mode and you're only limited to certain power, so lowered power. And then once you turn off your car, it goes away and you start it again, it drives fine again for another while, and it keeps happening fairly often. So I have scanned it. I am using my Autel Maxicom B8 Maxicom MKB. No, it's 808BT. So you could use any tool really, scan tool, and it's the engine module you're going to be scanning. And if you look here, it's called P164B00. Active and static, I suppose that's the status of the code, and oil pressure switch malfunction. So it's basically an oil pressure switch, or you could call it sensor. So it is the engine is actually looking for it to close or come on, turn on when the engine hits or oil pressure hits a certain pressure reading. So I'll try and show you the sensor itself just to give you an idea what it's rated at or what it's meant to do. So if you can read here, it reads 2.3 to 3 bar. So it kind of comes, or it acts around 2.3 to 3 bar. So once the oil pressure is around this range, it should be turned on internally, and the ECU knows the engine is acting fine. So unless your engine or something is wrong with your oil pump or oil pressure, this will help you. This will tell you the code, and the engine light will come on and stuff, as I explained earlier. But the first thing I'm going to do is change the oil pressure switch and see if it's the switch itself, because they are sitting there and they're getting hot and cold and whatnot. So that could be an issue, I like to think. So the tools you're going to need, very handy overall. So the sensor itself, it's the red one. There's a green one as well, but I think in my case, according to the code and a bit of research I've done, it's meant to be this one, hopefully anyway. So we're going to change it. It's cheap enough, you can get it from VW themselves, or you can look around. It's a Volkswagen pressure sensor switch, oil pressure sensor or switch. So the tools, the nut on it itself is 24 millimeter, but the thing is you have to go from this side, so you need a deep impact socket or deep socket, if you want to call it. So I have a 24 millimeter deep impact socket. It's a 1/2 inch drive in my case, it's usually would be, and a ratchet with the kind of medium or small extension bar, and that's for the sensor itself. And to get access to the sensor itself, let me try. So the sensor is just where my finger is, around below there. You'll see the wire, and I'll try to show you there in a few seconds. But to get this thing out is just a cover or a housing which sucks in air, and it actually feeds into the air box. So there is this thing here. You have to basically take out the hose anyway, and this thing kind of connects to the opening of the box, and you need to remove 2 Torx screws. They're T25. So I have the Torx bit here, T25, and I'm using a small screwdriver. You could use it's an electric one, you could use either one, whatever you have available. And same on the other side here, I think that's the one there. So I'm going to remove these, and I'm going to wiggle this out. So you have to be very careful. You have to kind of push down a small bit, and there's a tab above the screw, so that goes down and out that outwards. And same for this side. So I actually start with pushing this out and wiggle it out and try to bring it out, I suppose. So I know there are loads of outs, but that's just how I do it, and we'll see you in the next step. It's not ideal, but I'll show you with one hand. So what I've done here is I've removed the screws on both sides, and I just pushed it down, the tab comes out, and I just try to wiggle it out, just start lifting it up basically, and then same would have happened, this kind of came out itself. So that's what you have. If you have two hands, it's definitely better. You can move the hose out of the way and just push it out. So, and I'll try and show you if I can the sensor. So if you see the red clip there, so that's actually going into your sensor, and the sensor is going into the engine block, and I'll try to get to that. And just to remove the connector itself, there's a tab on it. You have to kind of press it and pull it out, and I'll do that there now, and I'll see you in a second. So as you can see, I have my socket in place. So I basically didn't have to use the extension bar because there's not enough clearance. So I just put the socket onto the ratchet and just try to wiggle it in, and I had sprayed a bit of WD-40 as well before doing it, just to make life a bit easier. But as you can see, it's very tight unless you take this out. So I'm just going to try and show you there what you can do. So if you can get a skinny ratchet or something, or just work your way around it, unless you'll have to take this out, and I suppose there are some tabs and things around the place you can do. I'm just going to try and do it this way, and if I don't, I'll show you how to take the other thing off. But if I get successful, I'll just leave it at that and try to install the new switch then. We'll see you in a second. So just to show you how the new sensor or the old sensor actually looks, that's how it is. I suppose nothing too serious in terms of damage or color change or something. The filter inside looks okay as well, the sensing part, I suppose. And one good thing is that once you get your socket on and you break the sensor loose, so maybe with 1 or 2 turns, if you manage to break the sensor loose with your bigger socket, whichever way, you can take out the socket and it actually comes out with hands. You can actually use your hands to turn this around, so that's a bit easier. I'm going to go ahead and install the new sensor. Just make sure if there's any oil or something, you can wipe it off, but this has fresh oil, so I'm not too worried about that. So we'll see you in the next step. So after a bit of struggle, I have the sensor finally installed. So it's just a mix of using your hands, the sockets, and just making your way around it, just because of the position, and especially if you want to save yourself from removing stuff. So it's in place and installed now, and that's about it. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to clear the code, and I know it will go away for the second, but to find out if it actually works, you have to take it for a drive and try to produce similar conditions that you got the error on, if you have any data, or even from just thinking about it. So I'm going to do that, make sure the error doesn't come back, and I hope it doesn't. And if it does, you might find another video on this just to look into it further. But if you have any questions, please ask me in the comments, and I'll try my best to answer. And I hope it helps somebody out there, the video, because I believe the process is going to be very similar in a lot of cars which use a similar VW TDi engine. The Audis, Volkswagen Golfs as well, or any other car which uses it, maybe Seats, Skodas and all them. So I hope it helps somebody out there. If it actually did, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like these to come, and ask as well if there is something you want me to do a video on. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in some other videos.